The fire temples of Mount Fuji, the adventures of Arin Cade. The morning mist clung to the lower slopes of Mount Fuji like a living veil. Snow crowned its peak, glowing softly under the rising sun, while deep below, the earth rumbled with quiet, ancient power. To many, Fuji was a sacred mountain, a symbol of Japan's enduring spirit. To Arin Cade, it was a mystery, a challenge calling out to be uncovered. Arin stood at the edge of a dense forest trail, his well-worn pack secured and his leather-bound journal open. The pages were filled with sketches of ancient symbols he'd been collecting for years, spirals of flame, intricate circles of balance, and a recurring phrase translated from a forgotten manuscript. Where fire sleeps, renewal waits. This phrase had haunted his dreams, pushing him towards this very moment. According to legend, hidden deep beneath the volcanic heart of Mount Fuji were the fire temple's ancient sanctuaries built long before recorded history. These weren't temples of worship or destruction, but of balance. They were constructed to harness the mountain's immense geothermal power, to soothe its fiery heart and protect the land from catastrophic eruptions. Most scholars and historians believe the temples were nothing more than a myth, a fanciful tale told to explain the mountain's moods. Arin knew better. The clues were too old, too consistent to be mere fiction. Guided by a collection of old, fragmented maps and the hushed whispers of local folklore, Arin followed a narrow, winding path through a forest of towering cedar trees. The air grew warmer with each step, the scent of pine giving way to something earthy and mineral. Faint tremors, like a slow, deep heartbeat, pulsed up through the soles of his boots. He was getting close. Then he noticed something strange, something out of place. It was a stone lantern, half buried in moss and earth, its intricate carvings glowing with a faint, otherworldly orange light. The symbols on it matched the ones in his journal. As Arin knelt and brushed away the accumulated dirt and leaves, the ground trembled more intensely. With a low grinding sound, the lantern slid aside, revealing a perfectly circular stone door etched with the same spiraling flame symbols. As the morning sunlight struck the markings, they flared with light, and the massive door slowly rotated open, releasing a wave of warm, dry air scented with ash and ancient stone. Arin took a steadying breath, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration, and stepped into the darkness. The passage sloped downward, opening into a vast, breathtaking cavern. It was illuminated not by torches, but by rivers of molten lava flowing safely beneath bridges made of a crystal-like stone that seemed to absorb and soften the heat. Firelight danced across the towering walls, revealing magnificent murals that stretched for hundreds of feet. They depicted ancient guardians, not fighting the fire, but guiding it, their hands outstretched in gestures of calm control rather than fear. At the chamber's center, connected by a long, narrow bridge, stood the first sanctuary, the Temple of the Living Flame. As Arin set foot on the bridge, the ground beneath him shifted. Huge stone platforms began to move, rising and falling slowly above the fiery rivers of lava below. The path was broken. He remembered the murals, the figures standing calmly at the center of each platform, their postures serene and balanced. Balance, he murmured to himself. The key wasn't speed. It was control. Instead of rushing or jumping, Arin slowed his breathing, centering himself just as the figures in the murals had. He moved carefully, deliberately, stepping from one platform to the next only when they perfectly aligned. The temple seemed to respond to his calmness. The stones settled, and the path stabilized beneath his feet. At the far end of the chamber, he found a single glowing ember suspended in midair, radiating a gentle warmth. It was beautiful, mesmerizing. As he approached, it pulsed with light before splitting into 3 smaller flames that shot off into the walls and vanished, unlocking the heavy stone door to the next passage. The second temple presented a different kind of trial, a test of pure endurance. The corridor grew hotter with every step, the air ahead shimmering like a desert mirage. Ancient inscriptions appeared on the walls, their characters glowing with heat. They warned travelers not to rush, to respect the power of the heat. Arin took off his jacket, took a long drink from his canteen, and pressed on slowly, his body already protesting the intense temperature. At one point, stones in the floor cracked beneath his feet from the sheer heat. His first instinct was to panic, to run, but he forced himself to pause, to breathe, just as he had on the moving platforms. The heat intensified for a moment, pressing in on him, but then it stabilized. He had passed another test. At the chamber's center was a stone basin filled with what looked like liquid fire, yet it did not burn with destructive force. It was contained, controlled. Floating just above its surface was a symbol shaped like a circle, enclosing a single flame, the mark of balance he'd seen so many times. Hesitantly, Arin placed his hand near the liquid fire. It was incredibly warm, but it didn't harm him. It felt like standing in the heart of the sun, but without the pain. As he held his hand there, the basin's glow dimmed, and the door at the far end of the room rumbled open. The final temple lay deep within the mountain's core. Here, the lava glowed brighter than ever, and the very walls seemed to pulse with raw energy. As Arin stepped into the massive circular chamber, a huge figure began to rise from the ground, a golem of rock and obsidian, its form crackling with internal fire. This was the Guardian of Embers. Its eyes glowed like molten gold, and its voice echoed like cracking stone. Fire is power, it rumbled, the sound vibrating through Arin's entire body. Why do you seek it? Arin stood his ground, meeting the Guardian's fiery gaze. Not to control it, he answered, his voice steady. To understand it, to protect others from it. The Guardian raised a massive arm, summoning waves of searing flame that swirled around Arin, forming terrifying illusions. Great cities burning to the ground, lush forests turned to ash, entire mountains collapsing into ruin. Arin shielded his eyes, but did not retreat. He would not show fear. Fire can destroy, he said, his voice rising above the roar of the illusory flames. But it can also give warmth. It can forge tools and renew the land. It all depends on how it's used. The flames flickered and faded. The Guardian lowered its arm, and with a deep grinding sound, stepped aside. It revealed a pedestal holding a glowing crystal, perfectly shaped like a flame encased in clear, smooth glass. It pulsed with a soft, steady light. This was it, the heart of Fuji. But as Arin approached, the entire mountain shook violently. A deep, agonizing rumble echoed through the temple. Cracks spiderwebbed along the walls as the lava in the channels below surged higher, threatening to overflow. The heart of Fuji pulsed faster, its light growing erratic. In that moment, Arin realized the truth. The mountain was becoming unstable. The heart wasn't a treasure to be taken. It was a stabilizer, a regulator for the volcano's immense power. He wasn't here to claim a prize. He was here to prevent a disaster. Carefully, Arin reached out and adjusted the crystal's position on the pedestal, aligning it with the complex symbols carved into the stone base. As it clicked into place, the entire chamber glowed with a brilliant, golden light. The violent tremor slowly faded, and the surging lava settled back into its channels. The mountain breathed a sigh of relief. Before Arin turned to leave, the Guardian spoke one last time, its voice softer now, less of a threat and more of a quiet acknowledgement. Few understand fire, it said. Fewer still respect it. You are welcome to return, but never to claim what does not belong to you. Arin bowed his head in gratitude and respect. As he exited the mountain, the great stone door sealed shut behind him, the moss and earth settling back over it, leaving no trace of the hidden world beneath Mount Fuji. Outside, the air was crisp and cool. Snow drifted peacefully near the distant summit, while down below, cherry blossoms fluttered at the mountain's base, a perfect, beautiful balance of fire and calm. That evening, Arin sat at a small inn in a village overlooking the mountain. He opened his journal and began to write, sketching new diagrams of flames within circles, of balance within power. There was no priceless artifact to display in a museum, no treasure to sell for a fortune. But behind him, Mount Fuji stood calm and majestic against the twilight sky. And that, he knew, was victory enough. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery colors, Arin smiled, knowing another legend had been protected, and another chapter of his incredible journey had finally come to an end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed Arin's adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories from the world's hidden corners.